In this video, we're going to talk about medicine, but specifically how we can use the rate and how we can change it to help us answer some questions. So this question that we're looking at, this is the same as question 3 in 3G. We need to use the rate provided to answer the following. The concentration of a drug is 25 milligrams per 50 milliliters. How many milligrams are there in 10 milliliters? Okay, so I'm just going to take the piece of information that's useful from the part up here, and that is that there are 25 milligrams in 50 milliliters. Okay, now as this is a fraction, whatever I do to the top I can do to the bottom and it won't change the fraction. This part of the question asks us to see how many milligrams there are in 10 milliliters. As there's 50 milliliters here, I'm going to divide the bottom by 5 and I'll be left with 10. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to divide the bottom by 5, but if I'm dividing the bottom by 5, I have to divide the top by 5 as well. Otherwise, we're changing the question. So if I do 25 divided by 5, I've got my calculator here just to help me in case I make a mistake. We get 5 milligrams on top. And just to check again, 50 divided by 5 will give us 10 milliliters. Now that means there's 5 milligrams in 10 milliliters. So how many milligrams are there in 10 milliliters? 5 milligrams in 10 milliliters. And that's our answer. But that solution would only work for this question. So in the next part here, I'm going to explain a solution that will work for any question like this, even if it is a simple one like the one above. Okay, so the concentration of a drug is the same basic question, except numbers have changed. Concentration of a drug is 100 milligrams for every 5 milliliters. So how many milligrams are there in 2 milliliters? First of all, we'll write it down as it is. 100 milligrams in 5 milliliters. And that's all well and good, except before we just divided this number so it could get to this number. But we don't necessarily know what we should divide 5 by to get 2. At least it's not as obvious as the one above. So when there's a situation like this, I'm just trying to make it a bit easier for myself. I'm going to divide the bottom and the top by this number. So in this case, it's 5. If I divide the bottom by 5 and the top by 5, what ends up happening is, 100 divided by 5 is 20, so we have 20 milligrams on top, and 5 divided by 5, as we know, is 1 milliliter on the bottom. And this is an idea called the unitary method. Sometimes when you're trying to figure out a question and it's getting a bit too hard, you just take it back down to 1. Which is where that idea comes from. So if there's 20 milligrams in 1 milliliter, now I can just times the top and bottom by whatever number I want so I can get to this number. So to get from 1 to 2, I just have to times it by 2. So I'm going to times the bottom by 2 and the top by 2. And we're going to get, 20 times 2 is 40 milligrams. Over, 1 times 2 is 2 milliliters. So there are 40 milligrams in 2 milliliters, just like the question asked us to do. We're going to try that one more time. Same process, get it down to 1. That's the unitary method, and then we'll get our answer. So, last question. The concentration of a drug is 18 milligrams for every 100 milliliters. How many milligrams are there in 10 milliliters? So this is kind of like A, but I'm going to use the method from B because it will work every single time. So first, 18 milligrams over 100 milliliters. I want to get where I have 1 milliliter. So I need to divide the bottom by 100 and the top by 100 because it has to be the same on the top and the bottom. So 18 divided by 100 came up with 9 over 50. I'm going to change the decimal. That's going to be 0.18 milligrams for every 1 milliliter, because 100 divided by 100 is 1. But we need to get for every 10 milliliter. So I'm going to times the bottom by 10 to get to the 10 milliliters, and I have to do the same to the top. So 0.18 times 10 will give us, change it to decimal, 1.8 milligrams over, well, 1 times 10 is 10 milliliters. So there's our answer there. We have 1.8 milligrams in 10 milliliters. Alright, well, I hope that helps. If you have any questions, just let me know.